Nocturnal Night Studios. This is Mimi, here again with another digital cellular device game. Hope everyone's tuning in to Trick and Treat. It's another horror. I do love my horror. So let's get to the basics. Saving, loading, okay. Let's start. Okay. The sound of our steps combined with that of the occasional nocturnal animal is the only thing we can hear. Okay. It's terribly dark in this place. The dense vegetation makes it impossible to see the sky or get light from the moon. Dang. Our flashlights are the only things that light up our way. At times like this, one begs not to run out of batteries. Yeah. We walk without knowing what we are looking for, or better said, for no reason. We are just a group of boys bored with our lives. Pretty much. Trying to create a lasting memory in a night instead of staying home doing nothing. That's a good idea. But not going in the forest. Everyone dies in forests. You should know this. Oh, and this story is about a boy and a group meeting two ladies. It was Ashley and Layan, yeah, something like that. Layan, and out of nowhere, he meets them, and on their travels on what they see in the forest. That's what this whole visual novel is about. So I hope you guys like it. Let's get back to it. Today is October 31st. The worst day of the year. A Hallows Eve, better known as Halloween. Yep. 3 young men walk through a dark but up until now, nothing special forest, me being one of them. Okay. We are doing it to prove our courage. The one bad thing is that there are no girls here. So see how brave we are. Oh, okay. Seeing it like that, one could say we're doing a meaningless effort. Yeah, you are. For a moment, I stopped to look at my watch. It's 1:49 a.m. Sorry, guys. It's nighttime. I mean, we have been walking aimlessly for more than 2 hours now. I'm sure many people would find this environment terrifying. Well, if you have to watch scary movies, yeah. But once you get used to it, the fear disappears, making it feel like normal. I hope you don't die. What makes us afraid of the dark is that we cannot know what's hidden in it, what lurks in the shadows. But this is clearly an empty darkness. At the moment, I sigh, feeling my legs tired. What is the point of being here? Clearly, we have already demonstrated what we wanted, it would be best to return. I should tell them. I was about to speak when suddenly the atmosphere in the forest becomes strange. Suddenly a cold runs through my body. It was like a chill, except that it was not going away. For no reason, the air temperature dropped from one second to the other. So much so my breath becomes visible turning into mist. Oh. But it doesn't end there. The air is now filled with a rotten smell, just like a short from being unbearable. Images of worms, flies soon appear in my mind, giving me a really unpleasant feeling. We all stop at that moment. Alexa, what happened? I asked, confused, while turning to look at my friends. By the expression on their faces, it was easy to know that they were just as lost as I was. It was then that we heard footsteps nearby that did not come from any of us. We all got dead quiet after that. I don't know if it was out of fear or to check if it was not a mistake, but we stayed motionless like statues without making a noise. Just looking at each other's faces, wondering the same thing. What happened? As if we could know. We heard the steps again, clearly belonging to a human, or at least a large animal, but there is something strange in them. It sounds as if the person walked dragging one foot. Just thinking about it made me chill. Friend, damn, why is this happening? It makes no sense. We should have returned home before, but now it's too late to regret it now. I have a feeling we are being stalked by someone. The strange footsteps stop, but I'm still feeling his presence nearby. I don't know where it is, but I know it's looking at me, and that cursed thing is looking at me. My heart is beating anxious. It is almost as if my body was telling me to get out of there. But strangely, my friend seems unable to perceive it. Friend, it seems that it's gone. It must have been just an animal, said one of them, convinced that we were safe. I would like to believe that too. Yeah, me too. But we had a sigh of relief. However, bad luck would soon strike us again. Unexpectedly, the place became darker than before in just the blink of an eye. But that was not the fault of the forest, but of our flashlights, which went out. Oh no! Of the three, only one. Mine was still working. What's going on? Did the batteries die? Asking one of them scared, while they both beat them desperately as if that was going to revive them. Everyone does it. I can't believe them. The idea of walking in the darkness was not pleasant for anyone. But after a few moments, we had no choice but to resign ourselves to that. Once more, the sound of our footsteps is heard. But the silence is different now. We are not quiet because we have nothing to say, but because we are afraid. We continue walking desperately in the fear that invades us. Visibility is almost zero, but we have no choice. In theory, we are walking back looking for the exit, but I cannot remember anything of this forest. We could be walking in circles. I would never notice it until it's too late. I hate the thought of it. It's just I just want to get out of here. Suddenly my thoughts are silent. We heard footsteps of someone or something. Once more, the three of us become statues awaiting the presence to go. I hold my breath while feeling my heart beating anxiously. Damn. Get away from here and leave us alone. Unexpectedly, the steps we heard closer. This time they do not disappear, but rather come at us. It can't stand it. Desperately, I moved my flashlight elsewhere, looking for the author of those footsteps, hoping for the light and revival of his identity. I erased our fears. Nothing. 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 Is that all there is around here? Just empty air? My anxious anxiety grows with each failed attempt. I refuse to believe that it was a ghost. Suddenly, when I move the flashlight again, I see a silhouette. I do not distinguish what it was, but for a moment, the light revealed something. Quickly, I point to the same place, only to discover it was gone. I hold my breath anxious. It was not an illusion. I'm sure I saw something. It was then that I heard something nearby. Without even thinking, I aimed the flashlight towards that place. What I found leaves us paralyzed with an expression of disbelief in our faces. It's a white cat with eyes of intense red, which stands before us. Her look is not the friendliest, to say something. Somehow I get the feeling that it's a female cat. Suddenly she makes a thunderous meow that makes us really terrified. The sound more is as a lion roaring than simple cat. The echo of her meow is heard throughout the forest, making it sound more sinister than it should be. It was then that Suddenly, an inexplicable force hit us three. I fell to the ground, and little by little, my eyelids closed. The fatigue becomes unbearable. Let's save. We're gonna save so we don't forget. Okay, go back. The fatigue becomes unbearable. I lose consciousness on the ground of the forest without knowing what was going to happen with me. It's a day like any other, so normal that it was almost painful. The only special thing that could be said about it is that it's October 31st. Wait, home now? Far were the memories when I was a kid and went out with my friends to ask for sweets from house to house. Just remembering it made me sigh. I feel nostalgic. Some things were better when I was a child, or it at least seems like that. There were some who had good costumes, whether of supernatural or monsters. I and my friends, on the other hand, had to use our own imaginations. Creativity was our costume. You could say, no matter how funny it sounds. I remember that my mother once painted my face red, and told me, "You will be the devil." But it seems only she saw it that way. When I went from home to home, everyone said I was the Tomato Man. Those things didn't matter to me, since we always had a good time. If I asked for candy now, even if I had the best costume, I'm sure no one would give me anything, except perhaps a scolding for acting like a child when I am 17 years old. But anyway, I cannot stay in the past. I must live in the present, no matter how exciting that might be. Back to reality. We are a group of friends who don't have any plans for today. We are still not in age to go to a disco. Whoa, how old is this game? Back. Disco. Jesus, this is old. And I doubt guys as us would have any luck in that environment. Nowadays, they like youngins. The other option would be to go to a party, meet girls, and have fun. Everything perfect except nobody has invited us. Not being popular has its disadvantages. Well, straight ruin their party. Jump in there uninvited. Hey Alex, let's have a couple of matches. What do you think? What do you say? Someone called my attention. Is my friend Steven, who is playing with the game console. Rushard, I believe, is called the game. A fast and quite complex fighting game for me. I would normally agree to play with him, but for some reason, I don't feel in the mood today. I have no desire to play now. I reply with discouragement. Almost feel bad for doing it. Almost boring. The AI is no rival for me. Steven said with confidence. Of course, the AI is always the weakest. You're playing on normal difficulty does not help your argument. I don't feel like losing, but if you want, you can challenge Alfred. I said, leading the attention to my other friend. I don't know how to play that game. Answered Alfred, doubting for a second. He's sitting behind the PC, but it seems that he is not doing anything interesting. The screen only shows a lot of text. I think he is in Wikipedia. Hey, don't you have something more fun to do? I asked with discouragement without even thinking about what he was reading. Alfred looks at me surprised. Actually, the actual problem of society is that people are not interested in discovering the history. He is of these pseudo intellectuals always looking for any rare information to appear smarter than others. When we forgot our past mistakes, we are doomed to repeat them. He added later.
Well, what are you talking about? This village is small and its story is not interesting at all. It has never happened anything outside the normal.
Alfred laughed mockingly after hearing that. Your ignorance is worthy of praise. He paused, filling his chest with pride. Man, he got pride galore, don't he? The very fact it is a small town is the reason it's full of mysteries. Did you know that 20 years ago, on this date, a man disappeared? So what? What about you? What about it? I asked without being impressed, even interested in the least. Things like that happen all the time, in all places. As I thought. You don't know the history despite living in this very place. Alfred said while adjusting his glasses. In any in an arrogant gesture, there is a legend behind this disappearance. That is what I was reading. After listening to him, I looked back at the computer screen with curiosity. It is when that I noticed that it was not Wikipedia, but some other page. Come on, read this and learn a little. Alfred is inviting us to read what was on the screen. Both Stephen and I moved closer to read it. Town of Albingdon, Oxfordshire, country, 1994. I came to this town with only 4,000 inhabitants to support them in any investigation. Truth is that never in my life I had even seen something this strange. I don't say your typical detective-ish nonsense that I have seen thousands of strange things in my life. I've seen many crimes, yes. Some difficult to solve, but all of them were human. Even if you don't know how they managed to perpetrate the crime, you know that they are people like anyone else. In this case, I don't think I am able to say the same thing. Truth is that I can't understand what happened. I was called for the disappearance of a man named Matthew Graham, 23 years old, single. The last time he was seen, he was returning home from a Halloween party. He had drunk alcohol but was still sober. Or at least that's what said witnesses. Anyway, this is not something which can be explained with a simple drunkenness. He apparently got lost on the way home and decided to enter the forest called Oakwood. It had rained yesterday, so the ground was wet and muddy. We could easily find his traces where leading deep inside the forest. Apparently, he walked for 3 hours before stopping. I say stop, but the truth is, we don't know what happened then. The track suddenly ended up in the clearing of the forest. And that's all. There was no evidence of struggle, no trace or pieces of cloth on the ground. There was no blood, no more footprint or anything else. The depth of his last footprint and position, they were indicated that he was still walking. No point he stood still. It was all as if he was vaporized in the air. All of his clothes in the middle of his walk. Obviously, I can't believe such a thing. But I can't give another explanation. The only thing I remember is near the footprints, I sense a faint smell of rot. However, there were no animal corpses nearby. It is ridiculous to think he suddenly started to decay and became herb. In the end, the case was closed in just 3 days. No evidence of any kind. We couldn't say anything but that he decided to escape from the village. However, while officially there were no more to do, I couldn't sleep in peace. Thinking about what could have happened to him took away my sleep. In my mind, I thought all sorts of theories. Maybe everything was a plan developed by Matthew. But in the end, they all seemed impossible. I decided to investigate more on the issue. I searched the town for similar stories, and to my surprise, I found 4 more, all young men. The story was always the same. They walked into the forest alone, disappearing without trace. Even more curious is that all of them disappeared on the same date, October 31st. But there is more. A detail that completely eliminates the possibility that there is a killer or kidnapper behind this work. Why? And that is the separation of the years. Roger Bacon disappeared in 1924. Mitchell Smith disappeared in 1867. Jackson Black disappeared in 1813. And the worst of all, Oswald Taylor disappeared in 707. It simply couldn't be possible. My curiosity led me to dig deeper. I thought that the answer may be in the past of the forest. It was then when I discovered that what seemed a simple and boring forest actually hid a great story. Before called Oakwood or Oaks Forest, the place was called Witchwood. The word witch has huge similarity with witch. Taking in consideration that it is an old name and language changes over time indicates that it was the forest of witches. Apparently, more than 400 years ago, the people of the village believed witches lived in the forest. Unfortunately, almost all of the information is already lost. They were stories told in voice, without a properly written record. I just know that with the change of religion to Christian people stopped seeing the witches with good eyes and began to hunt them. Apparently, the last one before her death casted a curse on the forest, which even today should continue to exist. Anyway, obviously, I could not accept something like that as the answer. In the end, I have no other choice than accepting that which one of them escaped from the village, using the legend of the forest to make it look like it was something supernatural. Let's save. Yes. Whew. Interesting story. Didn't know that much, that such a story was hidden in this town. I said honestly surprised, even if it was a lie, it managed to hold my interest. Wait, there's something more, Alfred said in the same time he scrolled to the comments. We read what was written there. A couple of comments call our attention. Both of them talk about some with creature. At that time, I felt a horrible fear from what could happen to them. While the two comments shared great similarities, that they could have been written by the same person. There are many others that deny it. Looks like many people went to the forest because of the legend, but couldn't find anything. I thought that you only read these things to look more cool before girls, replied Stephen as a joke. Alfred giggled with a little shame. Partly, yes. He admitted that was a secret everybody silently knew.
Well. Now we have an activity for tonight,
Stephen said at the same time. He makes a face overflowing with enthusiasm. What? I asked, completely lost, thought we were just killing time.
Simple. Let's go to the forest,
Stephen replied without hesitation. He seemed really fascinated by the story. Are you insane? Said Alfred, unable to believe what he just heard. You only need to look at his face to know that he did not like the idea. Despite everything you just heard, you mean read? You want to go?
Of course. It will be a test of courage among the three,
replied Stephen, full of confidence. Perhaps too much. You should relax a bit.
Don't tell me you're afraid.
No, I know. Why should I be afraid? At the same time, answered Alfred. At the same time, he folds his arms, making a false gesture of security. It is more than obvious that you're afraid, Alfred. Almost as much as when you have to talk about with a girl.
What are you talking about, Alex? Don't tell me you won't come.
Suddenly Steven asks me at the same time that looks at me mockingly.
Don't tell me you want to be chicken of the group.
I hate that tone of voice he used. I guess I'm gonna stop it right here, guys. It was so much fun to play with you guys. So next time, we're going to see what they do. Let's get back to the trick or treat Halloween special.